The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Okay, I saw this headline last night, and wow, that's kind of interesting. Jerry Jones says this about his starting quarterback, Dak Prescott, with regards to the talks for him and what's going on with his contract. The quote in the headline is, "We're operating under the existing contract." And he said this. Jerry was asked for an update on getting something done. And he said, "We're just continuing to talk." That's what he said through Nick Harris of DallasCowboys.com. "Since we're approaching end season, we're operating under the existing contract." Makes me feel like that the Cowboys Jerry may be willing to just kind of roll the dice here a little bit. And if Dak walks, Dak walks. If somebody else wants to pay him in free agency, somebody else can pay him in free agency.
Yeah, I think you can take it that way. I would be surprised if he still doesn't remain a Cowboy at the end of next year. But I think you're right. I think you could take it that way. That hey, we're gonna roll with it this year, and then we'll worry about it in the offseason.
He's doing that with his head coach. I mean, Mike McCarthy. If Mike McCarthy, let's say Mike McCarthy has a tremendous year, and the tremendous year makes it to the NFC Championship game, but they let's just say they lose and they don't get to the Super Bowl, but he makes it to the NFC Championship game. Well, now Mike McCarthy probably gets to make a decision. Do I want to stay with the Cowboys, which I've built and kind of help rebuild, or get to this point? We've had a lot of success here, but we hadn't had playoff success, and Jerry's going to give me a new contract. Or is there another team that he would really rather be with, and an owner that he'd really rather work for, who's going to offer him similar money and maybe a little more control over getting the groceries? And Mike McCarthy may say, "You know what? I've had a lot of drama here. I've proven that I can coach again, that I can lead a team back to within the cusp of a Super Bowl or to a Super Bowl, and I'm going to go." But, Jerry's, that's how he made his money. He made his money by drilling dry holes and basically, wildcatting,
Sure.
And there were some, if he's over 50%, and then, he's probably doing great. And I don't know what his percentage was in the oil business, but obviously he hit on enough.
Yeah, probably doesn't even have to be 50%.
Probably doesn't.
I don't know.
I don't know what the number is, but the bottom line is he was able to cobble enough money together with what he had and his group of investors at basically buying the team with a credit card, and then being able to buy out his investors as time went on. Because of his oil business and then the Cowboys business. He's obviously a smart guy. Here's what Prescott said. Prescott said, "I want to be here, but when you look up all the great quarterbacks I've watched played for other teams." So my point in saying that is that there's not something to fear. That may be a reality for me one day. It may not be my decision, so that's the freedom I have. Hey, feel free to go out and have a great year, Dak, and then put the Cowboys in a spot where they've got to pay you even more money.
Yeah, no doubt.
No
doubt.
But for the Cowboys,
but what you do in the regular season doesn't matter.
Right?
Because he had a great season last year, right?
Yeah, he's had a couple of 12-win seasons. Yeah,
it's you gotta win some games in the postseason. And if you're really wanting that, well, maybe you shouldn't have put the Cowboys in such of a salary cap bind with your last
with your last deal. So I think Cowboy fans, and I'll throw this out at the Yates Flooring Center chat line for Cowboy fans. I don't care how long you've been one, whether it's day one or year 42. If you had your choice of signing one person of the three, Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott, or CeeDee Lamb today, I think without question it's CeeDee Lamb. I think it's might even be 1,000 to none.
Yes, I didn't think Mike McCarthy is a distant last.
He's a distant last,
Yeah.
but he's potentially a free agent too. He's a lame duck.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's too worried if they lose him.
No,
It's it's harder to find the good quarterback than it is the good wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. CeeDee Lamb is, I think, a better receiver than Dak Prescott is a quarterback.
I'll also say, though, that you can overpay a coach and it doesn't hurt your salary cap.
True.
So if McCarthy goes out and has a great year and you have to sign him for twice of what he's making now, that doesn't hurt you.
That's just Jerry's
That's
money.
just Jerry's money.
That's not the cap.
That's literally just Jerry's money at that point that Jerry made a bet and lost. I would be okay with that. That wouldn't bother me at all.
It's just so different when a guy in Major League Baseball he's holding out or he's, asking for this huge deal compared to a guy in the NFL, right? And it's somewhat unfair to the NFL players because a guy in the NFL, if he's asking for this huge deal, he is putting his team at risk for being able to be as competitive as you would want them to be. In Major League Baseball, that's not the case. It's just a billionaire fighting with a millionaire to decide how much of the billionaire's money he's going to give to the millionaire.
and then how much the billionaire is going to have to pay in a luxury tax to the other billionaires.
But again, it's his money.
Yeah.
Doesn't keep the team from being able to compete. And in the NFL, you look at CeeDee Lamb or you look at Dak Prescott or whoever, and you're like, hey, we really value you, and we think you're one of the best receivers in the league, but we also want to make this team good, And so I don't want to say it's unfair to those NFL guys, but it's just different, right?
It is different. I mean, how many times have we squabbled over an NFL player getting X amount, and then you go and you look at some, nondescript reliever who's got this, 5-year guarantee that's way more than any name brand NFL player.
And the NBA still has a soft cap, right?
Yeah.
Where if you're signing your own player, you can go over the cap, and there's just...
But even the NBA has gotten, the money for the players has become way more guaranteed and way more lucrative than the NFL. And obviously there's more players in the NFL than...
Better unions than they have had in the
There's no
NFL.
question.
Yeah.
The NFL's union is still the worst. So...
Yeah.
Somebody says this off the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Back in the day, Wildcatters were successful 10% of the time. Okay.
10%.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. So
So
Jerry
that means
may be
you're
looking at
making a healthy living, just batting 1 for 10.
Yeah. Which now,
We thought it was easy for baseball guys to
Right.
be Hall of Famers at 3 for 10.
those Wildcatters.
You can be a
man,
Hall of Fame Wildcatter in 100.
fail 90% of the time. It's expensive, though.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Is August the 21st, 2024. Here's Jeff McGuire.
All right, gentlemen, starting in 1926. Chicago White Sox pitcher Ted Loynes no-hits the Boston Red Sox 6-0 in just 67 minutes at Fenway Park.
How many minutes?
67.
Getaway day. Had to catch the train.
Dang.
1931, Yankee slugger Babe Ruth becomes the first Major League player to hit 600 career home runs as the Yankees defeat the St. Louis Browns 11-7 at Sportsman's Park.
I think I'd be disappointed if the Red Raider baseball team played a 67-minute game. Well, I wouldn't be disappointed if they won, but I mean, I don't even think I would have been able to finish my Mountain Dew in 67 minutes.
I think I know I've told you guys this before. I literally went to a Royals game once. It was a night game. And they turned the lights on for the fans leaving the park. That's how quick the game was.
Yeah, that's crazy.
1967, Kansas City Athletics utility player Ken Harrelson becomes the first baseball free agent when he is abruptly released by the team after he reportedly refers to the team owner Charlie Finley as a menace to baseball.
He wasn't wrong.
1982, American Major League Baseball Milwaukee Brewers relief pitcher Raleigh Fingers becomes the first pitcher to get save number 300. 2004, American super swimmer Michael Phelps wins his 6th gold medal of the Athens Olympics, even though he doesn't swim the final of the men's 4x100 meter relay. U.S. wins in world record fashion, 3 minutes 30.68 seconds. And in 2005, former Red Raider Josh Bard goes 2 for 3 with a double and a run scored in an Indians 5-1 win over the Orioles. I needed to watch this earlier because I watched earlier and I was going to try to remember how to say this. It's National Somoli Day. It's an Italian ice cream with cream, fruit, and nuts. There's no way that I said it right. Spumoni.
And there's like some areas, like some tunnels and holes in it.
Yes.
Right, so you can say holy samoli.
Holy Somoli.
You could.
Did you know 6:47 was time for a dad joke?
No, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Now you know. See,
6:47.
Make sure you tell Choice today that we had a better dad joke than whatever he throws out there.
There's sometimes where it's very questionable. It's like, I mean, he knows when he starts it off that it's bad.
Yeah, his delivery is always the entertaining part to me. How bad he butchers the delivery at sometimes.
Happy birthday to Usain Bolt, who's 38. Hayden Panettiere is 35. And Kim Cattrall, 68.
Okay.
There goes Usain Bolt's now 39. He's that fast.
And on this day in 1959, the modern United States received its crowning star when President Dwight D. Eisenhower signs a proclamation admitting Hawaii into the Union as the 50th state. The President also issued an order for the American flag featuring 50 stars arranged in staggered rows, 5 6-star rows, and 4 5-star rows. The new flag became official on July 4th, 1960.
Okay.
And that is this day in sports history.
Kim Cattrall, some people remember her for being in Sex and the City. Okay.
Yes.
But if you're my age and you remember Kim Cattrall, she was the gym teacher in Porky's.
Yes.
Okay.
She was also in Police Academy and Mannequin. Yeah. And I mean, I can go through the list.
Well, Porky's is where, if you go back to I think that's Genesis for her. She had a very memorable part there.
She has a long history of looking good on film. Yes.
6:49 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Marquise, welcome to the show. Apparently, El Jefe was kind of putting the strong arm on him because he says El Jefe threatened to kick me out of the listener league if I didn't start commenting again. ... Hi.
Well, good to have you back, Marquise.
I don't think he ever left. I think he just hasn't been commenting. So it's okay. You're allowed to just listen. You don't always have to chime in. But we appreciate those that chime in.
Well,
we absolutely
that's
do.
For us. I get that the listener league has its own rules that you need to participate so that there can be trash talk.
I love that they have rules. I love that we have a listener league.
Yeah. Yeah.
That we are not in charge of.
You're not into fantasy football, correct?
I'm terrible at it. I really am.
Jeff, are you still playing fantasy football?
I have not played fantasy football in quite some time.
Quite some time. Okay.
I enjoy it. Mm-hmm. I was pretty good at it. But I spent way too much time doing it.
I think you and I are alike in that we just want to root for our guys.
Yeah, I want to root for my team.
All I want to do is, when I play fantasy football, I draft every Buffalo Bill and every former Red Raider I can.
Yeah.
And that's not the smartest decisions as a fantasy football GM.
Sure. Although you're only messed up 1 week then, as opposed to missing a receiver or running back.
But the last time I did, we played. Okay, and I got the first pick, and I took some guy named Patrick Mahomes. Okay, and I was laughed at. Oh, you got to take a Red Raider first. Blah 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 blah. This was before. Okay, and he won his first MVP that year, and I'm sure I finished dead last in the league. I don't remember because the rest of my team was just Buffalo Bills.
If you had the first pick today, would you still pick Patrick Mahomes?
Sure I would.
Yeah, sure you would.
Sure you would.
Sure. Pepsi
Tyree Wilson is your second pick, right?
I don't know. Just out of principle, I might have to take Josh Allen just to feel like I was loyal to my.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's why I don't. I mean, I have nothing against anybody that plays fantasy football. I just don't have it. A, don't have the desire. B, I like to root for my team. And
I would never want to be rooting against my team.
Yeah.
It was hard for me the last couple of weeks with the Young brothers playing against the Yankees.
Yeah, I just can't do that. Pepsi Man says this. Good morning, guys, from Arlington, Texas. I'm so glad I don't have to wait in line today to get my Josh Young ring like the other 2 championship rings. We had to wait 2 hours in a hot sun. Have a great day, guys. I guess that means he's got a hookup.
I don't know. Or I think it's you had to buy certain tickets to get the ring, so you're guaranteed.
So you're guaranteed a ticket.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm really anxious to see what those look like.
But there's also something to be said for being the first 5,000 or things along those lines. Whether it's seat cushion day or whatever, bobblehead day. I mean, the giveaways have gotten just incredibly great from the Rangers standpoint.
Seat cushion day. I mean, they don't do that one anymore.
Remember seat cushion? Yeah, they got a seat cushion. I got a seat cushion.
Or, they used to do, we've all heard the bat day or the mini bat day. Mini bat day I'm a big fan of.
I have a full bat from bat day.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to carry around a bat all day.
I mean...
Or mini poncho day.
Can you?
Poncho?
Yeah, because they were they were not big enough to wear. I mean, you could try to wear one, but they were not big enough to cover anything.
Well, like pennant day, I don't feel like they do that anymore. That's kind of old school.
Yeah,
I always thought was.
Did you have
cool.
pennants as a kid?
Yeah, absolutely. I still have some as an adult.
I do too. I've got some up in my room.
Tech Baseball gave away like a camo pennant.
Oh, nice!
This past year that I thought was pretty cool. Nice. Just kind of brought back the old feeling of 70s, 80s baseball of getting a pennant or whatever.
Let's see. We get this. Good morning, fellas. Headed to Stephenville this morning. Thanks for keeping me up sooner in Lubbock. And then College Station Red Raider says this. Just like me, good morning from Aggieland. College Station Red Raider. Hey, good morning. College Station Red Raider.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Good morning with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Great to have you with us today as we start getting you ready for Texas Tech football, as we have been, like all summer long. But did you like that? Like all summer long? Like all summer long. And like we will next week, and especially with Optimum Game Day Live on Saturday the 31st when Texas Tech takes on Abilene Christian. We'll have it at 7, beginning with the Saturday morning quarterback, and take you all the way up to kickoff. A couple of notes from the scrimmage. Taj Brooks didn't scrimmage in the scrimmage, and Cam Dickey didn't scrimmage in the scrimmage. He has an ankle sprain, but he's back at it. He feels like Cameron Valdez and Cam Dickey will be 2A and 2B on punt return. So here is, I thought this was a really good question. And full disclosure, because this may come out later today. So this is full disclosure on my part. So I go to the media availability yesterday. The availability was supposed to start at 6:30. And I walked up to the Sports Performance Center at about 6:25. And there were 2 guys there waiting to get in, and they'd already let in most of the guys, okay? So the availability hadn't started yet. Football practice was still going on inside the Sports Performance Center. So we weren't late. We were technically on time, but maybe just a skosh behind the other guys in terms of being let into the building. So one of the young guys works for the University Daily, and I introduced myself to him because I asked him if he had a phone number. He said he didn't. I said, okay, well, I'll make that call. And then I turned to the other guy, and he had his head down and his back to me. And I said, hi, I'm Chuck. And he said, Chuck, it's Ben. I work with you. And I'm like, by this, now I'm busted. I'm like, but I look at him, I'm like, well, your hair's different, which it was. He looked different to me. He said, well, in fairness.
It's a little longer now, isn't it? Yeah.
He said, in fairness, he goes, I usually wear a cap.
Yeah, he does.
But I felt bad because here I am introducing myself to a coworker whom I should know. Who I should know. So with that, Ben asked a really good question, I thought, and Coach McGuire gave a good answer. He asked, give us a hidden gem on offense and defense. And here's Coach McGuire.
Dre McCray, without a doubt, on offense. Man, the dude just is a machine, loves football, catches the ball in traffic. Good things happen whenever it's in his hand. On the defensive side of the ball, a guy that has not played a lot for us that has had a really good camp, I keep bringing him up, is Harvey Dyson. I think those two guys, no doubt we've seen, I mean, Dre McCray shouldn't surprise anybody from the standpoint he's the returning kickoff. He's a yardage leader in the NCAA, but he's doing really well. Harvey has, he's 250 pounds, a little bit over 250 pounds. He's maintaining that. He's got an edge to him right now. It's year 3. Like any time that you're thinking of anything in the O-line or D-line, year 3, the light better come on. Like you should expect guys to play year 3 whenever they're in the trenches. It's year 3, and man, he's really, really excited for him.
And so he also went on later to say that with regard to Dyson, that he has a chance to start. And so he's in a position to be a starter. So that's really cool that you've got that potential coming from him, and that the quote light has turned on for him here at the start of year 3.
And do they see Dyson as a guy that's more a run-stopping guy, or is he a more get after the quarterback guy?
I think he's more of a get after the quarterback guy. I think he's more on the edge than anything else. But he would be on the edge. Here's another comment from Coach McGuire. It's a little lengthy, but I think it's really critical because it's talking about the punt returning competition. And here's Coach McGuire on that.
Yeah, if we're starting tomorrow or if they're punting right now, Josh Kelly would go out first. Jordan Brown would probably be second, like 2A. Micah would be like 2B. Then Dre. Dre just is such a natural at kickoff and return, or catching the kickoff versus punt. But Josh Kelly, we want to be able to get, that's another touch for Josh Kelly. It'd be great for another touch for Jordan Brown or another touch for Micah. But that right now I'd go with Josh Kelly.
And defensive tackles, who's the ones right now?
That's Coach McGuire there on his returners. And then with regard to the punt return, he views Cam Valdez and Cam Dickey as 2A, 2B. Okay. So, and he felt like that Josh Kelly had a really good day and had a really good practice scrimmage on Saturday, and then backed it up with a really good day yesterday.
A lot expected of him.
Lot expected of him. 7:21 this morning here on the morning drive. So they do have some guys that are kind of dinged up a little bit, but it kind of is what it is. He feels like at defensive tackle, he was asked about starters there. Quincy Ledet brought up DB Carroll and Duda Banks, and then said James Hansen at nose guard has been really, really good. And he's at about 316, 320. Okay. So, again, they emphasize the depth, especially on the defense, and feels like that has been a real critical area for them. One last thing from Coach McGuire. This is on Baron Morton and Baron seeing his receivers differently down the field. This is Baron seeing the 4th or 5th read in his career.
Again, it's funny how the scrimmages have gone, the live scrimmages in the stadium. The defense has come out and really set a tone. And then the offense kind of gets going. And Barron stepped up in the pocket, hit Brady Bond. That's what a guy coached at Cedar Hill too. Brady Boyd, he hit Brady Boyd for a touchdown in the back of the end zone. Really good pocket, so he was able to step up. And then he had a really good pass. Jordan Jordan Brown had a really good catch for a touchdown. We simulated in overtime, and he had a touchdown to Jordan Brown in the overtime, and it was really impressive, the pocket again of him stepping up. Barron's really worked hard on understanding like things that he needs to do to be a really good quarterback, but also things he needs to do to stay healthy. And some of that stuff is, being able to step up in the pocket instead of trying to escape to the right or to his left.
It's been really interesting in these availabilities I've been to with Coach McGuire specifically. The lack of mention by the quarterbacks early on, opening statement, things like that. And then the lack of questions about the quarterbacks. It took quite a ways into this availability to get a question about Baron Morton. I don't know what to read into that. I just find it interesting, fascinating that there's not a whole lot of gloriness towards the quarterbacks in opening statements. So that,
I guess everybody knows who the opening or the starting quarterback
Well, I know, but I mean about
so.
how well he's throwing or how well he's doing or things like that. Usually there's that opening statement that he has is designed for him to kind of talk about what he wants to talk about and direct the narrative how he wants to direct it. So, like I said, I don't know what to read into that. I find it interesting the last couple of times that it's been the comments about Barron have been shorter than others. So I don't know if they're trying not to put too much in it, like fill his head too much, or if there's concern, or if it's just one of those things of, hey, we're going to focus on the other guys and not the quarterback because the quarterback gets plenty of attention. I could be reading way too much into it, but it's just interesting to me how it took a long time before we had Baron Morton's name mentioned yesterday, and that's not the first time that's happened.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
I mean, I'll be really honest. I almost wanted to hit the other one and let Chuck ask his tennis question.
Yeah, I hope I can answer it.
I think you can.
All right. Okay, so I apologize if I've asked something like this before. Sometimes I forget.
Forget which show you're with?
Well, you do it twice a day.
Well,
Which wife you're with?
No, I forget which questions I've asked or not.
I got you.
Okay? And sometimes I think I asked the question multiple times because my answers have changed.
Okay.
But my question for you today, take a look at the Red Raiders schedule coming up, okay? Mm-hmm. And just go with the Big 12 games. We've talked so much about the teams that you're playing, but we know that some schedules are easier than others, and some are more exciting than others. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to allow you to change one game. Like, you can take away a home matchup with Arizona State and instead say you want to play Kansas State. Mm-hmm. Again, it's got to be either home stays home, road stays road.
Road stays
can't
road.
change the name, or can't change the place. Mm-hmm. All right, so if you could pick one to change, what would you change?
Okay, you've not asked this question.
Okay.
Okay, so basically our choices are UCF.
All 9 Big 12 games are your choices.
Right. But I mean the teams that you would play.
That you would put in there in place.
Instead.
Yeah.
BYU, you played them last year. If I had my druthers, just because I think it's a good rivalry. I don't think it's a hatred rivalry. I think it's a rivalry that's among commonalities where I think people enjoy the spirit of the competition. I would remove the Iowa State game and go to Manhattan and play at K-State.
Okay.
Because I think that is a rivalry from the beginning of the Big 12 because you played the very first Big 12 game against them, and they've had the upper hand. And I think a true test for this team,
hand, foot, leg, shoulder, you could win the next 10 and you're still below 500.
But it's equal. I think it's pretty, I wouldn't say equal. I think K-State will be a little bit better than Iowa State this year, but both places have been a struggle for you.
Absolutely.
So you're not changing the narrative big time over,
No.
I got rid of a tough team and put in an easy,
No.
went opposite way.
No, I just but to me that's a spirited matchup. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no way in God's green earth am I adding Kansas State to the schedule. We can just go ahead and eliminate that now.
Okay.
Here's the thing. As I look at this and I think of the teams that I would want on this schedule, like that I would pin drop if I could pick anybody in the Big 12 that I would want, Oklahoma State would be on that list. West Virginia would be on that list. TCU would be on that list. Baylor would be on that list. And you've got them. The only natural rival that you don't have on your schedule is a team I don't want in the Big 12, in Houston. Now they're here. I don't want to elevate them any more than I absolutely have to, but I would trade Iowa State for Houston, not because of Houston of the competition, but just because that's an in-state rival, and then I wouldn't have to go to Ames in November. Like, that's where I would go with this, but I'm not like, let's do it. I'm not like super pumped about that idea.
Yeah, it's an easier game for you. You would think that would give you a better chance to have a better record, and then
it's also that you're playing their Super Bowl
weather
then.
and would be a huge factor.
Yeah.
It'd be better for our fans. You'd have more fans
substantially
there.
better, right?
Yeah, so I get that one too. Okay, you guys probably aren't going to like me for mine. Okay.
Are you adding Kansas State?
I want to get rid of the Thanksgiving Day match or Thanksgiving weekend matchup with West Virginia, and I want that to be Utah.
Utah.
I know that's tougher. I know it's a lot tougher. I just think that Red Raider fans have already become Utah haters. And so, like, I want that excitement, and maybe with it being their first time, that would, because I think, I don't know if we're as worried as we have been in the past, but a little nervous about what the attendance is going to be like Thanksgiving weekend and all that.
Yeah.
I think that would bring the extra excitement of the team that's favored to pick this conference and runs their mouth too much and we all dislike. And so I think that would bring an extra bit of, intensity and excitement to that weekend. And so that's why, even though I think it's a tougher game, I'm saying bring it on.
Okay.
I don't hate the idea. I don't. The West Virginia series, and this has been across all sports, basketball, football, baseball, you name it, has just had a bite to it.
It has. You're right.
That I really enjoy in college sports.
I don't enjoy it.
No,
they just annoy me to no end. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right, Jeff. There's been tension between them and the Red Raiders in every sport. I just I don't feel like they deserve it from us. Like, they don't deserve to be petty to us. I don't want to deal with them.
But they are, and we are to them.
Yeah. But our fans don't get fired up for West Virginia like they would the Utah.
Sure. Yeah. I just don't want to. I would rather get rid of the Iowa State and make that Utah.
Huh. I'll be curious to see what the reaction is when we play Utah in something, whether it's here or there. Because I agree with you. I think there is a bite to the West Virginia. I think the West Virginia fans. Okay, I mean they are all in. No matter really what the sport, it's a different atmosphere when you go up there, and even when they're here, I mean it's especially for football, maybe not so much for basketball because it's not been.
It wasn't last year for basketball, but every year Huggy was here, it was a raucous atmosphere.
Yeah, but what I'm talking about is you didn't have the West Virginia fans here, but up there.
Oh, you're talking about the fans. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think it's a good rivalry. Those two.
I'm just excited about us playing Utah in football because I think their fan base has already turned our fan base against them. And I don't think we're the only one in the Big 12 conference that feels that way about Utah.
Because they're coming in feeling like they're the pretty girl,
Sure. And they might be.
Yeah.
They might be.
Yeah.
I mean, they're one of the prettier ones.
Yeah.
They may not be the prettiest, but I mean, I think most of us would probably date her.
Yeah.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Great to have you with us today on the Morning Drive. It is Wednesday, the day the work gets done. We come to you this morning from the First United Bank studio. Visual Edge IT hotline is open, 806-771-0973, and the Yates Flooring Center chat line is open too at the Double T 97.3 mobile app. So go there and participate. Yeah, so just to kind of finish up our Lady Raider basketball discussion, it's a much tougher non-conference schedule than we've seen in the past. I don't know what the strength of schedule is like or anything like that, but when you're playing New Mexico, they always consider that a Super Bowl for them, but it's going to be home. Washington State's going to be home. You're going to play Abilene Christian. That's a real team now. But there have been times when you've struggled against them when you shouldn't have. Then going to the Virgin Islands, playing Florida State and Gonzaga. Even Missouri State. I mean, they've had pretty good teams over the years, but still, it's a team you should beat. So I think by and large, and then the thing that's crazy is for the women, the Big 12 schedule will start before Christmas. So December 21st will be that's a Saturday. There'll be a Big 12 basketball game that weekend.
Yeah, it's interesting that they're playing a couple of Saturdays in November, which is odd to me. I think one of them is when Tech football's on the road, and one of them is when Tech football's at home. And
one's a bye week.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Either way, I mean, you're going up against college football.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, no question.
That seemed like an odd decision to me.
None of these game times have been announced yet, so I'm going to assume that's going to be a night game. But heck, I don't know.
Yeah, I just think college football fans are going to stay home and watch college football.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I think even if you're scheduling, even if you're the men and you're playing a Saturday game, it becomes a challenge.
Absolutely, no question.
Going up against
but even more so for the women.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt. And for the men, they have So I don't. If I'm guessing, because the men are going to play a home game at noon on the 21st, it leads me to believe that the women are going to start on the road on the 21st, but because that men's game would start at noon and be done about 2, you could play an evening Saturday game. But I think that first Big 12 road game, I almost wonder, because it's before Christmas and they haven't done it before, if that'd be an afternoon game. But they may not want to go up against. I mean, that's another big college football weekend. It's going to be, you can't really worry about that. But I mean,
in that situation, you can't.
But it might be, who knows? It might be a doubleheader where you'd have a 6 o'clock, women's game and a noon men's game. I kind of doubt that. Kind of makes me feel like that the women are going to start on the road in the Big 12, which is what they did last year. Although last year they didn't start Big 12 play until the 30th. So that's the change. So while the men will be like, hey, play the noon game, that'll be the Santa Claus game, they play Lamar, and they'll be like, hey, let's get this game over with as quick as we can. The kids are going to get out of town. They're going to get out of town for a few days, be back, Christmas Eve night or something like that, or Christmas night, whatever. Coach McCaslin needs them to be back. And then they'll start their Big 12 play. And then for the women, they'll play their Big 12 game. And then it's like, okay, well, you got a couple of days to get out of town. Wherever we are, whether it's home or away, you can get away from there, and then you got to be back because you're now in Big 12 play, where it's real-time stuff. All right, some thoughts here from the Yates Flooring Center chat line with regard to the Oklahoma State QR code. Chuck is making Jamie's head explode with a couple of emojis.
Yeah. Excuse me. It really, I think I'm at the point of acceptance and all this stuff, and I just kind of laugh at it all now. I'm sorry. No,
it's okay.
My passion for college sports has definitely lessened. because of some of this.
I really am. I'm sorry
because of much of this. It really has. And but at the same time, I still love our Red Raiders. I'm going to root hard for our Red Raiders and all that good stuff. But I mean, just the feeling of buying teams and buying championships, and I don't know. We all accept it in professional sports. It just feels really odd right now.
You'll get used to it.
Yeah, probably so.
You'll get used to it. I mean, the way that you're feeling became a way that I felt about the Olympics for a little while, and then now it's like, well, that's just the way it is. I do think there has to be a point if we're doing revenue sharing too, and the universities and athletic departments are, hey, we've got to make cuts and changes to be able to afford this. At some point, we have to say, okay, well, then you don't get your room and board paid for. Right? Yeah, no.
But the problem is that if Texas Tech says that, well, then Alabama says, no, we'll pay for your room and board.
We'll pay for you. Yeah.
See, and so it's never going to happen.
So
it's just dumb.
To me, and look, I don't know all the dynamics of this, so there might be somebody over at Texas Tech that's going to shake their head, no, this is never going to happen this way. This is how I think I would like to see it, just the dumbing down of it. Is all the money's funneled through the university, okay? And each university at the Power 4 level, let's just stay at the Power 4 level because that's really where this is going to be. You get $20 million to disperse to your athletes. You can provide room and board, you can provide meals, you can provide scholarships, books, all that kind of stuff. You got $20 million, split it up however you want. And then as revenues grow, then that quote cap, increases. Whereas 10 years from now, it might be 30 million. 20 years from now, it might be 40 million, depending on what is going on with the economics of television and specifically and college sports and even more specifically college football. And then what I would want is the name, image, and likeness stuff to essentially go away. In other words, if you still have that right, but all that money gets funneled through the university. It's not from business to athlete. It's not from individual donor to athlete. So that you at least have some boundaries on it. That doesn't mean that people aren't going to cheat, because people are still going to cheat.
Sure they will.
But at least you would have the train on the tracks, so to speak. It's going to get derailed because somebody's going to find a way around it. But to me, it would make the most sense to have all the money at least funneled through the university, so you have some kind of general accounting of who's getting what and how that's going.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make any sense?
No, I don't think it's going to happen, but you make sense.
Okay.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.